we're pushing over 300 texts a month. At the end of the day, I don't think any of us are in love with change. Everything we do is based around befriending. And I love that phrase, that it starts with what happened to you and not what's wrong with you. And I think we really take that to heart in everything that we do, in the way that we engage with people.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lifeline Crisis Center Director Interview Series. Today, we're incredibly lucky to have with us Ron White, who is the Chief Program Officer with Samaritans Inc. in Boston. Thank you very much, Ron, for joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation. Right off, I kind of want to just ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got involved with the crisis center field and with suicide prevention in general.
I started my social work career in Ohio. I went to Ohio State University, kind of took the long route, a couple years in between my undergraduate and graduate degrees. Worked primarily in hospital settings, relocated to Miami, Florida for 3 years, and again was in a hospital setting. And when we moved to Boston, I started in a hospital, but then soon joined an employee assistance company. And at that company, my career really took off, and I managed their service delivery operation from London, England for 6 months. I did the same in Toronto for about 6 months. And we worked with all of the active duty guard and reserve in the military. And although it was exciting, the travel demands were immense. If you had asked me if I ever thought that my job would take me to a meeting at the Pentagon or to a Marine Corps air station in Iwakuni, Japan, I would have looked at you like you had two heads. But I did have those experiences, and I'm really grateful for them. That's one of the reasons I ended up here at Samaritans. The other is the previous executive director. She and I worked together at the employee assistance firm, and I was always interested in what Samaritans did, and I valued the work a lot. And she was at a point where several people had transitioned out, and she convinced the board that it would be wise to bring somebody on who had a little bit more experience and more call center experience, as well as the social work background. So that's how I landed here, and I've been here 10 years now.
So what are some of the things that make Samaritans great? What are some of the successes that Samaritans has experienced in your experience while working there?
Well, in my 10 years here, we've gone from doing everything with paper and pencil, literally. We had no PCs in the crisis services room. We only offered our services via the phone. Today, you can access us via phone, chat, or text. In October of 2015, we text-enabled our 800 number. So there's now just one number to call or text 24/7. That's been really successful. We're pushing over 300 texts a month so far, and we're looking to grow that program. And I think the fact that Samaritans has been a part of the Boston community for 42 years now. I mean, it has always been the go-to place for people who are in despair, who are lonely, who need someone to listen to them.
In 42 years, there were probably quite a bit of challenges, things that came up throughout the years that you had to overcome. What were some of those things, and then maybe tell us a little bit about how you or Samaritans kind of got past those?
Well, the woman who founded Samaritans in Boston, her name is Monica Dickens. She's the great-granddaughter of the author Charles Dickens, and there was actually a biography written of her work starting the Samaritans office here in Boston, and it's a really interesting read for me because some of the challenges and conflicts that she faced in 1974 are still around today. Mm-hmm. But one of the primary ones was getting others in the community to value the service that she brought, and to not be territorial to allow Samaritans to be at that table of mental health professionals, social service agencies, and other helping professions. I think over the years, we've been challenged with keeping up with phone technology. It's changed so much. It started with a rotary dial phone in the basement of the Arlington Street Church. Today, we have a voice over IP system. It's quite sophisticated.
At least from what you said, it sounds like a lot of the issues were just about adaptability, making sure that you were up to, that the services were up to the standards or new technology and things like that, and just changing some of those things as you went along.
Right.
And that's a really important part of, I think, any center. I'm sure that every center experiences variations of those exact experiences.
Yeah, I think none of us at the end of the day, I don't think any of us are in love with change. But if it doesn't change, it's not going to grow. It's not going to stay viable. So
right,
change is necessary.
But what's one thing that you want to share with us, or what are a couple things that make Samaritans in Boston a very unique? What things make Samaritans unique in that location?
I think it's our philosophy of befriending. Everything we do is based around befriending, and it's that being able to engage with someone without judgment. We don't start any conversation as we're the expert and you're the patient or the client, because we're not. We're another person on the other end of the phone who does not have your life experiences, who's not walked in your shoes, but we are here to listen, and we do care about what's happened to you. And I love that phrase, that it starts with what happened to you and not what's wrong with you. And I think we really take that to heart in everything that we do, in the way that we engage with people, that we create the kind of environment on the phone or chat or text where it's safe to say what you're thinking and what you're feeling, even though those thoughts and feelings might be frightening to others and to yourself. We're going to be there to listen.
And that phrase, "what happened to you," is beautiful. That's, I think, a lot of people could potentially take that and use it. And you're right. I mean, it eliminates chance for judgment, or even making it sound like the question is shamey, right? Like that it's the person's own fault that they're in this situation. What happened to you opens that door for that conversation to happen. And that's just beautiful. How does collaboration with the Lifeline benefit your center, and how have you experienced collaboration with the Lifeline helping you personally?
It's been amazing, seriously, Chris. I mean, when I started, that was right about the time that Lifeline was pulling together the assessment, where we talked about capability, intent, desire, and buffers. And it was being implemented across all of the centers in the network across the country. The beauty of it is, every center, I think, has their own culture, their own history. But what's important, when it's important to do things consistently, Lifeline brings that to the table, and they bring it to the table with experts. They bring along people like Maddie Gould, who can back up what we're doing with research to say, this is why we're doing it this way. Without Lifeline, I don't know that we would have ever gotten close to that kind of an assessment, or that detailed an assessment. And it's also been the opportunity to engage with other center directors. I'm part of the NASCOD group, the National Association of Crisis Center Directors, and there's a lot of wonderful collaboration there. There's a lot of collaboration with Contact USA, who is our accrediting body, but opening that up even further to include all of the Lifeline centers just means that there are more people to turn to and say, how did you do this? I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And maybe selfishly, I don't feel alone in what I'm doing. But I feel like now I have colleagues who are dealing with the issues that I'm dealing with in terms of volume, new technology, new ways of reaching out to people. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but we did receive some one-time support SAMHSA dollars that came through Lifeline to help us increase our capacity. We were able to hire a part-time trainer and a part-time volunteer recruiter, and it made a big difference in terms of the number of calls that we're able to answer. Another challenge we faced is, Samaritans started in the UK in the 50s, and that was a time when not only was there the stigma about suicide and suicidal thoughts and feelings, but there were legal issues around that. And when they started, they promised people absolute confidentiality, so that if you did not want help, help would not be sent. And that's the tradition that we started with in 1974. And it was through our work with Lifeline that, when the guidelines were issued around helping people at imminent risk, that was a challenge for us, and probably one of the biggest changes the organization has gone through, at least in the 10 years I've been here. But we had a lot of good dialogue with volunteers, with staff members, with our board members, and at the end of the day, given the way the policy was written and the guidelines were established, we really felt that we had to ask ourselves, why are we doing this differently than the other 159 centers across this country? And the answer was, we can't answer that. Yeah. And we really think that policy focused on the importance of active engagement with the caller, that the least desirable outcome was to have to intervene without their permission. But if we believe that someone might die, then we have an obligation to do that.
So one of the things that we talk about at the Lifeline is how we as individuals can be the one to play a role in suicide prevention. And even at an organizational level, many people can be the one to play a role in suicide prevention. And I'm wondering, how does Samaritans, how do you play a role in suicide prevention in the community at large?
Well, one of the programs we offer, and most people know us for the phone, the chat, and the text, but we do a tremendous amount of community education and outreach. This fiscal year, we will probably reach upwards of 20,000 people. This year, we, for the first time, believe it or not, have engaged in a partnership with the Boston Public Schools, and we'll be doing all 9th graders across the school system, the warning signs, the risk factors, and how to help someone that you might be concerned about. So that's amazing to be able to get in front of those kids and talk about the importance of not keeping a secret, knowing who your trusted adult is, knowing when to be concerned about a friend or a family member. They are really engaged when we come in. They want to talk about this. One of the teachers that we're particularly close to, she has 7th graders. And when they came back for the 8th grade, she asked a couple of them, do you remember when Samaritans was here? And the kids, oh yeah. And out of the backpack comes the wallet card that we gave them. Or they hold up their phone and say, see, I put their number in my phone. So they do remember.
Well, thank you, Ron, for sitting down with me and talking about the amazing work that you do, the incredible work that Samaritans in Boston does. And thank you for doing that. It means a lot to everybody. And because of you and other people who work at the crisis centers in our network, the Lifeline is able to provide these services. So we especially appreciate what you do, and thank you again.
You're welcome. Happy to be a part of it.
All right.
Take care.